NFL Week 5 gets started tonight on Thursday Night Football with the Rams and Niners, but we're just a few days away from Miami traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Both teams are 1-3. Miami coming off a win against the Jets at home. Panthers coming off a blowout 42-13 loss on the road against the Patriots. Miami is 1.5-point favorites in this game, over under at 44.5. We're going to look at the injury report and preview with keys to victory. I am Nic Rohloff with Dolphins Today. We'll start with the injury report. Only 4 people popped up on Wednesday's initial injury report with an injury designation. Storm Duck is a DNP, which is a fascinating storyline to follow because this would be the 4th game in a row he misses if he does not play with an ankle injury. And if that does end up being the case, you have to wonder why Miami didn't just ultimately put him on IR following week 1 when he suffered that ankle injury. Cedrick Wilson, the newest wide receiver for Miami, we know he will be inactive this week. McDaniel said he won't even practice with Miami this week due to a knee injury he's working back from. And then you have Ethan Bonner limited with a hamstring injury. I would expect him to be inactive even if he is available to play. I think they'll stick with Juju Brents, Cornell Armstrong, Rasul Douglas, and Jack Jones as the 4 healthy corners. And then Darren Waller has a rest/hip designation. He'll play on Sunday, but he was limited on Wednesday's injury report. A little bit of a longer injury report for Carolina. The one to monitor here is their starting running back, Chuba Hubbard. He did not participate in practice. It is a projection. They did not have a real practice on Wednesday. It was a walkthrough. He was a DNP. Taylor Moton has a DNP designation with rest, but tight end Jatavion Sanders, ankle injury, DNP. Defensive lineman Tershawn Wharton, toe injury, DNP. Chow Smith-Wade, the corner, DNP with a chest injury. He plays for them. And then DJ Wanham, another defensive lineman/edge, is limited with a hip injury. So Carolina definitely has a couple players that we have to monitor in terms of their injury situation going into Sunday, specifically their starting running back, Chuba Hubbard. But the Dolphins finally got their first win this past week on Monday. I want to start a winning streak. Let's get that good vibe flowing. Let's get the momentum going till Sunday. Hitting that thumbs up icon. Like the video. Let's get a win. Let's get our second straight. And let's get moving here in October. All right, now we're going to look at 4 keys to victory, the reasons why Miami could win, any way you want to phrase it. Well, to me, the number one reason why the Dolphins could win this game is if they get ahead early and stay ahead. Carolina, in each of their first 4 games, the leading team at halftime has ultimately won that game, with 3 of them coming in blowout fashion. I mean, Jacksonville and Arizona both took a 20-3 lead against the Panthers at the half, and then both teams ended up winning. Jacksonville by 16, Arizona by 5. Carolina did have a chance to win that game. In week 3, the Panthers' lone win, they led at the half, and they ended up finishing that game with a 30-0 victory. And then just last week, the Patriots actually fell down 6-0 in that game. New England rattled off 42 unanswered before Carolina scored a garbage time touchdown to make it a 42-13 final. The point I'm trying to make, when you look at the Carolina Panthers' first 4 games of the season, if you can jump on them early, go up 2 scores in the first half or at the break, this team will likely just shrivel up, give up, and you'll be able to walk away with a victory. They didn't make any effort to make a comeback against the Jags in week 1. They didn't make any effort to have a comeback in week 4 against the Patriots. This team, if you get ahead and put them in the dirt, they will roll over. So if Miami wants to get a comfortable victory, going up early like they did against the Jets is the best way to do that. The Panthers are a bottom 3 team in football, in my opinion. Miami should have the advantage here and should have the ability to get up in the first half. If I'm Miami, like they had the past couple of games, if I win the toss, I'm taking the ball first. I want this offense on the field to set the tone like they did against Buffalo, scoring a touchdown on the opening drive, and like they did against the Jets with an opening drive field goal. Let the offense put you ahead early. Number 2, the offense has to capitalize inside the red zone, especially when they get inside the 10 in goal-to-goal situations. Miami actually has been one of, if not the best offense in goal-to-goal situations so far through 4 weeks of the season. You look at the EPA per plays on total, pass, and runs, you see it. When the Dolphins are first and goal, second and goal, third and goal, fourth and goal, they are the best EPA per play in the NFL. They're also top 10 in both pass and rush. Well, you look at the opposing defense you're playing, they do not have as good of a spine as some other defenses in the league when they are against the wall, ranking in the bottom 10 in EPA per play, and then 21st in both EPA per pass and EPA per rush when they are goal to go. This is an advantage where Miami should be able to capitalize and score a touchdown every single time they get inside the 10-yard line in a goal-to-goal situation. And I believe the way that Miami can really capitalize this week against Carolina is running to the perimeter. I think this is the best way Miami will have success inside tight quarters of the 10-yard line. Yes, you can talk about using Darren Waller and going after the linebackers for Carolina because they do not cover well whatsoever. So expect to see Malik Washington over the middle of the field. Expect to see Darren Waller over the middle of the field. But this defensive line clearly has a strength. The starting defensive line, especially on the interior, Derrick Brown and A'Shawn Robinson, are really solid in terms of their run defense. 78.9 for Derrick Brown, 68.7 for A'Shawn Robinson, and both have a mid-70s tackle grade. Well, if you go to their edge rushers, Nic Rohloff, DJ Wonnum, and Pat Jones, their three starters, all of them really struggle in the run defense department. Sub 65 for Scorton and Wonnum, sub 35 tackling grade for the two of them as well. Pat Jones is certainly the best one out of the three, but he's also on the field significantly less in comparison to Scorton and Wonnum. So running to the perimeter is actually something I will advocate for this week. I usually am against the amount of wide runs that Miami has, especially in close quarters. I'll advocate it for this week. And if you actually watch some of the tape and film from that Patriots-Panthers game in Week 4 when New England just absolutely drubbed Carolina, they had a ton of success with misdirection plays last week, whether it's a fake end-around handoff, whether it's a fake handoff end-around, whether it's a fake pitch counter handoff. Travion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson. When you watch that film from last game, they were cooking the Panthers' run defense because they had the linebackers, the defensive line, moving left, right, and center before the ball carrier actually had it. Miami uses a ton of motion, a ton of misdirection. I expect Mike McDaniel to get in his duffel bag, script up a lot of very genius-looking plays like they did against the Jets, and I think Mike McDaniel and his offense will be able to move the ball and cook, especially with the amount of misdirection they can have at their disposal. You want the Dolphins to beat the Panthers? Hit that sub button. Sub for Dolphins Dubs. We'll be live for this game. Me and Jack Lotteray will be live 1 hour prior to pregame, or the game, so noon Eastern time, 11 a.m. Central time. Subscribe and join us for the top-notch Dolphins coverage. The Dolphins will win, number 3, if they win the turnover battle. And I know, this is as cliche as it gets. Win the turnover battle, you win the game. But it really is true when you look at these two teams. I do not think it is a coincidence that the Dolphins have one win this year. And that one win came when they won the turnover battle. They lost the turnover battle in Week 1 against the Colts. They lost it in Week 2 against the Patriots. They lost it in Week 3 against the Bills. Oh, they win the turnover battle 3-0 against the Jets, and they win? Yeah, that's not a surprise to me. And you look at these two teams, the Panthers on the year are -1 in the turnover battle, tied for 19th. The Dolphins are -2, tied for 22nd. So both teams aren't relatively strong in terms of taking the ball away from their opponent more times than they give it away. And I also want to show this. The Panthers actually do turn it over quite a bit. They have 6 giveaways through 4 games, 7th most in the NFL. But they have 5 takeaways, so their defense is a lot better than Miami's at taking the ball away. The Dolphins only have 3 takeaways as a defense this year, all of them coming via the fumble this past Monday against the Jets. More coming up here in a second, but take advantage of this insane Miami Dolphins hoodie sale. Was $69, now available for $34 when you go to chatsports.com/MII hoodie. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Grab your Dolphins gear for the season, especially with the weather turning a little bit chilly in South Florida. This is a major inflection point for Tua in the Dolphins offense as well, because we talked about how the Panthers defense actually does take the ball away, creating 5 takeaways this season. Well, Tua Tagovailoa is a quarterback who this season has really struggled keeping the ball out of harm's way and just in general against zone defenses. Well, bad news for Miami and Tua. There is not many teams that run more zone defense in the NFL than the Carolina Panthers. You look at the Panthers coverage scheme in passing situations this year, they only have a man rate of 12.4%. That is 30th in the NFL. They have a zone rate of 79.1%, 8th highest in the NFL. So a clear discrepancy in what the Panthers defense likes to do. They like to run a lot of zones, and they like to blitz a lot. They don't often just sit back and cover 1, cover 2 man. They don't do that. They either come after you or they play zone. And I want to just illustrate how different the quarterback play has been for Tua against man coverage versus zone coverage. Going back to my point of the QB having to keep care of the ball against zone coverage, which we're going to see a lot of this upcoming Sunday. Against man coverage this year, Tua has a 75.7% completion percentage and a QB rating of 139.6. Third best and first best. He is incredibly accurate and incredibly decisive when facing man coverage. He knows where to go with the football. But against zone, he has struggled. 26th in completion percentage. 35th in QB rating. 35th, which means he is below a couple backups who have gotten some play time this season. Tua has done a lot of things well this year. He's done a lot of things poorly this year. It is, without a doubt, the biggest shift in his ability to play QB is against zone versus man. You look at almost all of his turnovers this year, the 4 interceptions he has, I'm pretty sure they're all against zone. Like the one against Buffalo late, zone defense. Tried to hit a little in hitch route. Not there. The 2 against the Colts in week 1, definitely a zone play. Overthrew Tyreek coming across the zone, and then didn't see Latu dropping out in the zone. And then in the 1 against New England in week 2, yeah, we all know that he was scrambling out. Marte Mapu was in that zone coverage as well. All right, the final key to winning this game is rattling the Panthers quarterback, Bryce Young, who's entering his 3rd season in the NFL, and we really haven't seen the improvements and expectations we had on the former number 1 overall pick. And I think this graphic you're about to see is the most indicative of Bryce Young's play here. You look at completion percentage, yard per attempt, touchdown interception ratio, big time throw percentage, and turnover worthy play percentage. Look at the difference in when he is kept clean in comparison to under pressure. A sub 50% completion percentage when pressured. The turnover worthy play percentage jumps up to 4.9%. But the thing that is so fascinating to me is that he has a 34.8% drop back under pressure rate, but teams are only blitzing him on 29.1% of his dropbacks. So teams are clearly trusting their front 4 to get home and create pressure against Bryce Young against an offensive line that has a lot of different injuries. Bryce Young does not handle pressure as well at all. You see that. He's pressured on 34.8% of his dropbacks, and his numbers fall off a cliff. Yards per attempt, completion percentage, and turnover-worthy play percentage. But you actually look at that 34.8% pressure rate that he faces on his dropbacks, it's actually the 25th highest pressure rate in the NFL. So it's not even like the Panthers' offensive line has been that bad in pass blocking situations. Bryce Young just crumbles in that situation where he gets pressured, which I think might have to do with his small stature. I mean, it definitely plays a factor. But another reason why this could be a major factor in favor of Miami. The Panthers are down to their 3rd string right guard. Our good friend Robert Hunt is out for the year, biceps. And then you also have their backup Savala, I forget if it's Kavala or Savala, excuse me, was placed on IR this week as well. So the Panthers are going to be down to their 3rd string right guard. They have a couple injuries on the offensive line as a whole. This O-line in Carolina is not the greatest to begin with, and they're already down to some backups. I have not seen this pass rush even come close to what I expected out of them this year through 4 weeks. Can we finally get the game against an inferior opponent and quarterback to where this pass rush just wreaks havoc? 4, 5 sacks in the backfield every single, I wouldn't say every single play, but all day. Come on, pass rush. Show me something. Come on. All right, it's about that time. Call your shot for me. Predict the score of Dolphins versus Panthers. I'll be getting my score prediction here in a second, but let me know your thoughts down in the comment section before I give you mine. And you should listen up, folks, because if you weren't aware, Dolphins-Jets, I predicted a 27-21 Dolphins win. What was the final in that game? 27-21 Dolphins. We're looking to go 2 for 2 in back-to-back weeks. I got the Dolphins getting their second straight win on the road. They're 1.5-point favorites. I think they cover. I do think the game goes under the 44.5 number. Miami wins 23-16. They get in the end zone twice. They kick 3 field goals. Shout out Riley Patterson. The defense plays well, gives up 1 touchdown or 2 touchdowns, 1 missed extra point, and a field goal. That's my prediction. Miami moves to 2-3 with a win, 23-16. And we'll be here live on Sunday breaking down all of the action, play-by-play commentary analysis, taking down some drinks. So hit that sub button, join us, and I hope to see you then.